All right, let's get back to the focus, and that is the state of the tripartite alliance. This after the SACP announced plans to run alone during the 2026 local government elections. Political analyst Sandile Swana joining us now for more. Mr. Swana, good evening to you, and thank you very much for holding on and your patience there. Let's get straight into it. I've just had a conversation with Mike Shingange from COSATU here. They are part of the ANC-led tripartite alliance. They are part of the so-called governing alliance. The question to him is simple. Is the ANC-led tripartite alliance dead as we know it? Guess what his response is? I'll tell it to you now. The alliance remains intact, although this is a groundbreaking moment by the SACP. Connect the two. Does it make sense for you?
No, the way he's putting it is probably not correct. The functioning of the alliance has been a problem for a minimum of 24 years, in the sense that the comrades of the African National Congress, including Thabo Mbeki, felt that the Communist Party must not think that it is the duty of the ANC to achieve socialism in South Africa, or that the program of the communists and socialists is in fact the program of the ANC. Meaning that call it the nationalists within the ANC, feel that they have the monopoly, this thing is theirs and they must run it, even if it means a lot of the time ignoring COSATU and the ANC. And they've maintained that position for the past 24 years.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had made your point. Please go on.
Yeah, no, you can continue. You can continue.
So riding on the coattails of the ANC may possibly have come to an end for the SACP because they are now going to contest for political power on their own. However, there is a confusing statement at the same time that is made by Mr. Shingange that, yes, these two may contest for political power, but it does not mean that the ANC is going to be weakened as a party in government. And then I ask the question, so does that mean that these votes at the end of the day will be put together and you still have what is called the governing alliance in power? He didn't answer it straightforwardly, yes or no, but who is actually being fooled here? Is it the voter that's being fooled?
Okay, so maybe we need to take it from a different angle and say the SACP goes, as they said in your show, and COSATU, for instance, they were campaigning on the ground in the build-up to the May 2024 elections. But those votes would go to the ANC at any rate. And then once the votes have been deposited with the ANC, the dominant faction, the Ramaphosa faction, who then simply do as they please and ignore COSATU and ignore the SACP in decisions of government. Now, if you run your own elections, let's say you come with 8 seats in parliament or whatever the case may be. Obviously, they are starting with the local government now, but if we're just to use parliament, the main parliament as an example.
Yeah.
You come with your 8 seats to add to whatever the ANC has and so on. Now, the ANC knows that if there's an issue on the table, you must agree. Otherwise, you vote with other people or vote against. Right now, you don't have that option if you're the SACP because you are already inside. And then when the Mantashe comes and tells all of them that this is the line of march and all of you must vote the same way, subject to a disciplinary action if you don't vote along those lines. So that is important. So they maintain the option of not voting with the ANC on issues. That's where the power will come from for them, because they need to clarify to the public that for 24 years, the ANC has not listened to them. Probably the last person they ever paid attention to was Joe Slovo, And after that, that was the end of that. Ben Turok and Jeremy Cronin and all the others were just ignored.
Very interesting. You know, you are so very clear and precise about your analysis of this situation. So finally, therefore, are you saying that, going back to that question I asked initially, riding on the coattails of the ANC is not going to come to an end for the SACP anytime soon? If anything, this is merely a tactic to make them more, or to have more SACP leaders as part of cabinet, because as I listened to Solomon Paile at the weekend, very aggrieved by the fact that as an alliance partner, they only have one minister who belongs to the SACP, yet the counter-revolutionary forces, in quote-unquote, in inverted commas, are from the Democratic Alliance.
Yes. So now, then let's make this point. Let's then say I work on the assumption that the period that we've entered, probably from 10 to 20 years from now, is a period that anybody who says is in power will actually be in a coalition. So the ANC will not regain the majority, 50 plus 1. They are not going to regain them. So they are going to be looking for partners at any rate. And any other person, whether you are in the EFF or in the SACP, you want to be in partnership with somebody yourself. So this is the time of partnership. But then this is the same thing that Helen Zille is struggling with. She's in partnership with the ANC, but the ANC wants to make all the decisions by themselves. So you need to actually have proper and full leverage, especially because the partnering with the ANC, you've got to contend with three things. You've got to contend with the fact that the ANC is generally corrupt, generally incompetent, and generally they are non-performers. What I used to call that once you go into coalition with the ANC, you are basically going into coalition with an unrehabilitated alcoholic of some sort, addicted to these three things that have made. So you got to try and manage them. But the alcoholic is also trying to manage you so that they can continue doing the wrong thing. So that is the battle of the next 10 to 20 years that is going to be out there. And the SACP, correctly so in my judgment, needs to have independent access to the voters and independent access to the seats in cabinet. And they have made it clear that in their preference, they don't want to add another addict there, which is MKP.
Very interesting indeed. I can't contain it, Mr. Swana, how you are explaining this, because my colleague, Kwena, is also laughing on the other end. We've got to end the conversation there. Thank you very much. All right.